food rivalries have been around forever. So what if they were settled in the ultimate fighting game, Smash Brothers? Today, we're building the ultimate food mascot roster, breaking down their abilities and even exploring mini games and boss fights that'll make this idea come to life. Let's start with the roster reveal.
Ronald McDonald!
Being one of the most recognizable faces on the planet, I think it makes sense for Ronald to kick off this roster. He could have some speed to him. I mean, remember that time when Usain Bolt lived off McDonald's for like the entire Olympics, then dusted everyone? I'm thinking Terry is a solid template for him with the exception of some projectiles. A signature move has Ronald spinning in place as he swirls up a McFlurry vortex. Anyone caught in this blizzard takes gradual damage. And unlike the machine, this move will activate every time you input it. His clown moves have a large surface area, so they can be used for a variety of kicks. As a final smash, Ronald unpacks his Happy Meal. The red box with the golden arch slams onto stage, trapping opponents inside. They're tossed around before the box bursts open with an explosion of fries, nuggets, and apple slices. This animated show that must have felt like a fever dream for, well, everyone, had this version of Ronald that would be a fun throwback skin. It also makes sense to have the rest of the McDonald's gang as playable characters. I know there's some freaky Grimace mains out there. We're heading to the cereal aisle for this next brawler.
Tony the Tiger!
He's a brute who I can see using mostly wrestling moves for beating the crap out of people. Maybe I've been playing too much Tekken recently, but he reminds me of... Since this is Smash though, Incineroar is the next best option. You know that counter Incin has when he puffs up his chest? Let's give Tony the same thing. I can also see him doing a giant leap where he slams down opponents for a down smash. As his final smash, Tony brings out the tiger. Letting out a mighty roar, Tony charges at opponents with blazing speed, tackling them into the air before spiking them back down. There's always Olympians making cameos on the Frosted Flakes box, so let's have Tony bring out these medals as a taunt. And for his victory screen, I mean, do I really have to spell it out?
Great.
Next up is this fighter who found themselves in a sticky situation.
Aunt Jemima! Kool-Aid Man!
You may have to sacrifice his mobility, but getting hit by the Kool-Aid Man will send you to a different dimension. His side special has the Kool-Aid Man running then jumping with enough power to break through any wall. He'll dual wield mini pitchers useful for a powerful down tilt. And for the Kool-Aid Man's final smash, he'll bring in the iconic... as he plummets through the stage like Snorlax, causing a massive shockwave. The Kool-Aid Man has a special ability where he starts as an empty pitcher, but can fill it like Cloud's limit charge. When he's full, he can pretty much go berserk like the Hulk. Every time he's hit though, he loses some juice. We'll have this interesting losing animation.
Oh no!
This next fighter is gonna leave you in the dust.
Chester Cheetah!
To be honest, Chester's kinda... he's got a smooth vibe to him. I saw these Chester action figures making waves, so using that as inspo, let's make him a sword fighter. He tends to bring the heat as well, so Roy would be a fitting template. Let's give him a similar up special where instead of fire, Cheeto dust bursts from his sword. We'll use Chester's trademark black sunglasses as it does this anime shining animation when active. This gives Chester a suave counterattack. Remember when Super Bowl commercials were decent? Let's have Chester perform a pigeon summon where he throws Cheetos and after a brief period, pigeons swarm the area with attacks. As for his final smash, he transforms into Flamin' Hot Chester, with fire surrounding him, burning anyone who gets close to Chester with increased damage. Bringing in an item to this game, what about a hot Cheeto, making those who consume it uncontrollably run around while on fire? This next duo unexpectedly works well together.
Bad Apple and Cinnamon!
The troublemaking pair is gonna work together to be the rattiest of characters. These are for the players who just want to get opponents tilted. I can see Bad Apple and Cinnamon moving somewhat in sync like ice climbers. To balance out their speed, their kill potential though will be lower like Fox. As a side special, we can have Cinnamon ride on his skateboard, then have Bad Apple launch off, latching onto opponents for a quick pounding.
Pause.
They'll have a splash move where they leap together, sprawled out as if they're trying to make it first into the cereal bowl. We'll then have them bring out their clones for a final smash. The pair comes together with Apple and Cinnamon Jack clones to help them take over the stage. I can also see a few of their clones coming to battle as assist trophies. And you probably predicted this perfect victory screen. This next fighter is fast food royalty.
The King!
Probably the most dripped out character in this entire roster is the King. I mean, look at this chain. So we'll have a moveset that has some flair as well. He's a bit slower of a fighter, but will compensate with his wide-range kit. The King pulls out his Royal Scepter for some quick stabs. Let's bring in his onion rings as a projectile. He'll send a burst of 3 at a time. For his final smash, the King dramatically raises his hand, summoning a massive, glowing, holy whopper. This descends from the heavens, being too much for opponents to bear. Anyone over 30% damage disintegrates. It's just so beautiful. You can have the King breaking it down in his victory screen. I also think it'd be hilarious if the Burger King never changes his expression during the fight. No matter how many hits he takes, it would add to his stoic vibe. Our next candy fighter is full of colorful personalities.
Red!
For the M&M's representative, let's go with Red to join in on the main roster. We'll have the other ones as different skin options. Since they have different flavors of M&Ms, we can use these for combat. Let me explain. Red pulls out a handful of almonds and rapidly flicks them at opponents like tiny projectiles, dealing light damage. My favorite type of M&M, the pretzels, are gonna make a troll level forward smash. Red slams a pretzel into opponents like a steel chair in wrestling. For the final smash, Red summons the rest of his crew, who traps players inside a chocolate bar. They'll try their best to escape, but it's no use as the bar shatters. Another fun addition to this roster is mini M&Ms as Echo Fighters. This candy might have the best skins since they're all holiday themed. And let's use this commercial as a victory screen.
That kind of party. Hit it.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Enough with the candy, it's time to get a bit healthier with this next fighter.
Sunmaid Girl!
Joyfully skipping around the stage, she is beauty, she is grace. Don't let her soothing voice fool you though, the Sunmaid is deadly. Like Villager, Sunmaid Girl plants a seed where a tree eventually grows. We'll give her a Raisin Blaster for shooting foes with the ability to charge it up for a scatter shot. Borrowing from the Wii Fit trainer, let's give the Sunmaid Girl a Sunshine Blast. The light shines for Sunmaid Girl's final smash, the Fruitful Harvest. All sorts of fruits erupt from the ground, juggling players upward as they make contact. How about we bring in the Sunmaid Meadow for a Zen stage? And as a victory screen, we'll remind players of her ingredients.
Nothing but grapes and sunshine.
We've had a pretty calm roster so far. Let's shake it up with this crazy fighter.
Sunny!
This tweaking bird is sure to cause a problem. He might be an OP character because he can absorb attacks well and has erratic, unpredictable moves. For a horizontal dash, Sunny creates a chocolatey trail for him to slide on. This also creates distance between himself and enemies. As an up special, this parachute reminds me of the one used by Mr. Game & Watch. It'll launch Sunny upward before a mellow downfall. Like Snake's box, Sunny stuffs himself inside some cardboard to protect himself from attacks and from going cuckoo. This sounds pretty chill so far, but wait. For his final smash, Sunny gets a whiff. The munchie, the crunchy, the chocolatey, and goes basically being a whirlwind of destruction. Nothing can stop him from getting his Cocoa Puffs. And speaking of nut jobs in the roster,
Mr. Peanut!
Mr. Peanut is gonna be moving around the stage smoothly with some Marth-like finesse. Since he sports a cane, I could see him using this as his primary weapon. Similar to the Fire Emblem characters, we'll give him a counter that swipes opponents away. He has a monocle that'll wear during the fight, but I can also see him using it as a grab. As a final smash, Mr. Peanut goes nutty. He removes his monocle and top hat as he starts wailing on opponents through a series of never-ending brutal punches. Even when holding the L, Mr. Peanut still handles it with grace. While Mr. Peanut is proper, I can't say that for this next fighter.
Wendy!
She's just a sweet little girl. What is she doing in a fighting game? But just like the chaos she was starting on Twitter, Wendy's gonna bring that same savage energy to the battlefield. For her basic moves, I can see Wendy being badass using martial arts. Bringing in a signature move, Wendy hurls a Frosty forward that briefly freezes enemies. Wendy's counterattack has her presenting a bowl of chili containing questionable items. Any eager attackers are punished with poisonous damage as they make contact with this chili. We're paying homage to Wendy's fresh, never frozen motto with this final smash. Two grills appear on the stage, one being hot and the other being cold, as opponents are thrown on them. They're then tossed back and forth between the grills as they switch between a flash frozen and seared state before they're flipped off the stage. As taunts, we could have Wendy saying some rage bait lines. This next fighter is used to fighting for their life.
Frosted Strawberry!
We'll have the rest of the flavors joining the roster in a bit, but for now, let's have Frosted Strawberry as the main rep. Because they're using a toaster, let's make the Pop-Tart an aerial fighter. They'll excel at launching themselves and others into the air. A signature move being a burning up smash, which they can chain together with a frosted dash, giving some horizontal movement as they glide across a slick layer of frosting. I also realized that a Pop-Tart is kind of built like a womp, so another move is slamming down their whole body for a solid coverage attack. In their final smash, the Pop-Tart teams up with these hungry humans who are absolute savages. They'll tear anyone apart to satisfy their hunger. For alternate fighters, we'll bring in the rest of the Pop-Tart's popular flavors. It's time to earn our stripes with this next fighter.
Ernie Keebler!
From the depths of the Keebler tree, we have Ernie using his snacks to fight. I can see him being a mix between Villager and Steve. He's a tricky one who's great for traps and zoning with projectiles. Ernie skips a fudge striped cookie like a boomerang, dealing damage on the way out and back. He whips out a club cracker shield which can reflect any projectile and can withstand a light melee attack. Bringing in his final smash, the Fudge Pot will relocate this fight to the Keebler treehouse, where enemies are thrown into a boiling pot of fudge. This eventually explodes, splatting chocolate and them on screen. We're heading to the seas with this next fighter.
Captain Horatio Magellan Crunch!
He's a fearless naval commander with a trademark mustache. We gotta include some moves showing the captain's adventurous spirit. First, after lighting its fuse, this cannon with berry ammo blasts away enemies. Remember the Halloween crunch that turns milk green? We'll equip the captain with a gun that bursts out poison milk. His final smash starts with him raising his cutlass up high before crunchitizing his enemies. After landing on the captain's ship, they'll eventually depart off screen. His ship, the SS Guppy, would be a cool stage like Rainbow Cruise. I can see people fighting on it like in this goated Castle Crashers level. And another cool stage players can find themselves on is the Crunchberry Forest, with berry landslides coming through every once in a while. Our next fast food fighter means business.
Jackbox!
Jack's built like American Psycho, so he'll have a healthy mix of strength and agility to mirror the protagonist's peak fitness. Jack launches his taco-like boomerang. Opponents getting caught by it are briefly stunned by the spice. Jack can also charge the taco as it explodes in a burst of sour cream and hot sauce, dealing damage over time. He'll summon a group of projectile curly fries that bounce on the stage like a slinky. If an opponent is caught in this trap, they're flung into the air. Jack's got a big head, so let's include a headbutt as well. For his final smash, we're throwing it back to the 90s with this E. coli burger. Jack stuffs these tainted burgers down opponents' throats, causing eruptions from both ends. Going back to the candy aisle, we have this cute little trio.
Nerds!
We'll have these cuties moving together with the grape, strawberry, and lemon flavors taking the spotlight. Ooh, and it'll be cool to have them form different nerd structures for combat. They could bond together as a rope that I can see acting more of a whip or for recovery purposes. Based on the nerd clusters, we'll have the group surround their opponent as a gummy-like substance grows between them, dealing damage and temporarily slowing opponents. In their final smash, a huge wave of rainbow nerds crashes through the stage, lifting fighters up and off the screen in one fluid motion. What better stage can you have than Willy Wonka's factory, and specifically his conveyor belt? Avoid punishing hazards as you make your way down the assembly line. Next up is another cereal bird mascot.
Toucan Sam!
This colorful toucan with a British accent is ready to follow his nose to victory. Let's give Sam a scent trail which leads him to his enemies. As he follows it, he'll bite anyone standing in his way. The toucan grabs opponents and flies with them up in the air before throwing them sideways. In his final smash, Fruit Frenzy, Toucan Sam has infinite Fruit Loops launching from his beak in a straight line. You're basically screwed if you end up in his blast zone. For some showy taunts, there's this dance. Bringing back his old commercial, Toucan Sam gets robbed of his color as an alternate. It's time to fry your opponents with this next fighter.
Colonel Sanders!
Wait a minute. He was in a dating simulator? Yeah, I think it's just best we let this man rest.
Willy Wonka!
He's not the traditional corporate mascot, but I think it's worth including Mr. Wonka in this roster for being such an icon. He's got a bag of tricky moves that'll satisfy the most imaginative players. Wonka flashes a golden ticket which stuns opponents when hit. This also gives him a speed boost for a few seconds. He tosses a small blueberry candy in front of him, and any opponent who touches it inflates like Violet Beauregard before popping with minor knockback. This would be one of those FU finishers that has the crowd in shambles. As a final smash, we're bringing in the Oompa Loompa Koopas who rush the stage, shrinking or stretching enemies before launching them off. Let's bring players down the chocolate river in a boat that'll wobble and tilt. Staying on the edge will be risky since you can be caught in a chocolate wave. Next up is this beloved flying insect.
Buzzbee!
I know, there's some people out here who just love playing as this one. He'll be floating around with a honey wand, kinda like Ingling, with more honey bringing down players' speed. Buzz creates a wall of honey that'll trap players briefly. For scooping opponents in the air as a combo starter, he'll have a down tilt similar to Sora's where he scoops them up. For his final smash, Buzz hovers as he summons his giant honeycomb hive. A swarm of bees then takes over the stage, dealing bursts of damage to every fighter they make contact with. You can survive this, but I promise it's gonna hurt. For an assist trophy, how about this scary bee mummy? If you went to this next Mascots company as a kid, I know you lived a good childhood.
Chuck E. Cheese!
I know, he's more of an arcade representative, but let's not overlook Chuck E. Cheese having goated pizza parties. Let's use some items from the arcade in Chuck's moveset, like this move where he's able to spam tokens as projectiles. The company's cardboard pizza comes in clutch as Chuck knocks players backward with it. Let's also include this move where he wraps up fighters with his tickets. Even creepier than Jack in the Box is Chucky's final smash, the animatronics. In a cinematic, a massive stage appears with his animatronic bandmates who start glitching out, like these Five Nights at Freddy's characters as they chase down players. It's a jump scare you'll never see coming. A stage that transitions between Chuck E. Cheese's classic arcade games in the background would also be a nostalgic treat. This next fighter can never get a win.
Tricks Rabbit!
He's super slippery but light. The Tricks Rabbit will move fast as if he's saving Tricks for himself. Let's have him curl up into a ball for some bouncy damage. Remember when Tricks had these crackling candies? He can place them down as an explosive. Speaking of explosives, his final smash is the Fruity Explosion. Suddenly, a whirlwind of fruit-shaped, not this circular travesty, cereal rains down on the stage, causing massive damage. The rabbit has a poop ton of disguises that can work as alternates too. This mascot, based on a historical figure, is ready to fight.
Caesar!
Our short dick Tater is hot and ready for action. While he can mostly do close combat because of his short reach, Caesar has a few range moves to make up for this. He pulls out his Crazy Bread for bonking opponents. Let's also equip him with Crazy Puff explosives that works like Bowser Jr.'s up special. For his final smash, Pizza Panic, Caesar raises his spear and charges forward. He'll puncture his opponents like pizzas on his spear. Their chances of survival are slim to none. Here's another taunt for you Caesar mains to spam.
Pizza, 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 pizza.
Our final fighter is sure to be a popular one.
Poppin' Fresh!
Yeah, I didn't know he had an official name either. Anyway, this little nugget is gonna be an adorable fighter. Just look at his laugh. Based on his giggly nature, let's give him a playful belly bounce as he yells when making contact. Opponents are knocked back with a puff of flour. We'll have the Doughboy pull out his roller pin for flattening out enemies. As his final smash, the Pillsbury Doughboy becomes a baking machine. In the cinematic, everyone turns into Pillsbury confections like their crescents, biscuits, toaster strudels, you name it, which Poppin' Fresh collects before placing them into an oven to burn. As an assist trophy, let's bring in this Cookie Monster for extra help. That's it for our main roster, but stay tuned for even more fighters in our challenge mode. To start it off, you're facing the old El Paso girl. For stage 1, she'll hurl soft taco shells at you. But then for her second stage,
¿Por qué no los dos?
allows her to wield both soft and hard shells, which do extra damage. After this victory, it's a fight between you and this baby tweaker. He's itching for some Cookie Crisp, and it's up to you to stop Chip's schemes. He'll bring out his gadgets to fight with too. Choose Sunny as your fighter to have some extra fun between these cuckoos. Then there's this David vs. Goliath duel. You get to choose between the Taco Bell Chihuahua and the Chick-fil-A cow. And before you think the Chihuahua is gonna win, dare I remind you of this relic? Next up, in this tricky boss battle, you'll face the Starbucks Siren who can lure you in with her song, making you vulnerable to attacks. Definitely giving Souls-like vibes, timing is key, so don't fall into her trap. We're at the halfway point, so it's time for 100-Man Smash. But instead of the usual characters, we're bringing in this underrated orange drink. It's a fight against swarms of Tang karate chimps. This 3v3 showdown has Ernie gathering his gang to fight against Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Which trio will reign supreme? For a Giga Bowser vibe, let's include the Green Giant. With his menacing height, it'll be pretty hard to dodge his brutal attacks, but he drops some vegetables every now and then for healing. Let's ramp up the intensity with this Master Hand type of fight. We're bringing in the Pringles Man as a floating head. He summons stacks of chips as ammunition. They can break in half, come together to squeeze you, all types of attacks that you'll have to adapt to in order to get close and wail on him. As a leisurely mini game to help prepare you for the final fight, we're bringing in this Donkey Kong styled one. Make your way up the escape against Chef Boyardee. He'll send out rolling ravioli cans that will trip you up. It's a race to the finish. And finally, I guess he's more known for his tires, but the Michelin Guide is clearly a huge part of food. Don't underestimate this battle since he starts with 1 star of difficulty. It's up to you to defeat him before he gets to 3 stars. The Michelin Man becomes stupid to face and is bound to make you break your controller if you're not careful. This makes victory that much sweeter as you'll feel like you got a Michelin star yourself. And with that, we have our food mascot platform fighter. Let me know which battle you're the most hyped for. And if you enjoyed this video, here's even more just like it.